not the part of my speech, but I would like to request the audience not to be partial. Starting with my speech, as my friend has already said, history has been witnessed. Let me take you all to the pages of Indian history. It was a time of when Chandragupta Maurya was ruling the parts of India. There in one of the forests, a mother served a heap of rice to his child. The child put his arm in the center of the plate, only retreating himself, yelling in pain due to the heat. His mother told him, "You are doing the same mistake as the emperor of this empire, King Chandragupta Maurya, is doing." King Chandragupta Maurya was only targeting the centers. It was Chanakya who told him first to occupy the outer ridge, convince the people of inner ridge, and then win over the capitals. I think the same applies to our topic of today. Until and unless the rural India is developed, I think the dream of a complete shining India will remain something surreal. Good afternoon, respectful Chairman Sir, worthy jury, ladies and gentlemen present here, and my dear friends. I, Cadets Mishra, I just don't represent my school today, but I also represent the 70% of the Indian population which is lacking behind in development. Let me begin with a very simple question. When do we consider a country to be developed? Is it when its GDP is high or the infrastructure is good? Because what I think, a country is only developed when the people living in it are developed. But if we go with the motion of the house, then 17% of Germany, 20% of USA, 35% of France, and 70% of India should be lacking behind in development. My friend was just telling now that he was boasting about the international trade urban towns are doing. But I asked him, from where do we get the raw materials? The raw materials required for the boosting industries in towns can only be fulfilled if the production in the rural areas is enhanced. Rural areas are the hub for agriculture activities. And Chairman Sir, you would definitely agree with me that we are not growing crops on the top of utility building or some other skyscraper. Shastri ji quoted, "Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan." But it's a very unfortunate thing that Kisan who sows his sweat along with the seed in the farm is also living in those areas where the response to development is lukewarm. My opponent's friends are also singing the song of slum problem. Why do these slums come into existence? It's only because there are not enough employment opportunities in the rural areas. That's why people flock towards the urban areas and slums come into existence. If enough employment opportunities are created in rural areas itself, I don't think so there will be a question of slums then. Urbanization, a big word indeed, and often we relate it with development. But according to the census of 2011, 84% of the Indian urban population is literate, and half of them are developed. But sorry to say, that is not the case with the rural population. Women still have to break their backs to fetch a few buckets of water. Children of our age who should be in blazer and going to some school are being forced into labor and marriages. Men are still living into a shade of something known as disguised employment. And still we don't want development there. I ask this audience why there is no such term like ruralization, where villages are not developed to become a new city, but villages are developed to become a well-planned new village, where the roads of village are also known for their long drives, where all the students of villages also go to the school, and schools are having RTE implemented in them, where there are healthcare facilities for women and the children, where there are enough opportunities for the farmers, and there are something else other than falling in a debt trap or committing suicide for farmer. I would like to sum up by saying that there are ID things, but I don't think so ID will be of any use to our country if half of the population doesn't know how to use it. Our government should not loathe about the idea of developing a country as a whole, and the development of the 70% of the population should not be leapfrog. I might be a loggerhead here, but I'm proud to be one. India can only be developed if a process of ruralization, along with its beautification and commercialization goes place, and only then we'll be able to see a complete, shining, developed India.
Is Arul Kanheri.
I speak of a man who lives in Dharavi in a small hut. He goes to work with only a stale chapati and a cup of tea in his belly. He works all day long, pushing his body to the limits of strain. And when he comes back to rest his weary body in the unhygienic and hell-like surroundings, he is fed upon by mosquitoes healthier than him. He has a family to support, an infant who may die of malaria, and a wife who is helpless. Wake up, my friends. This is the hour of urban development. Good afternoon, worthy chairperson, worthy judges, and my dear opponents and friends. Today I'll be speaking for the cities. Today I'll be speaking for the nation. Today I'll be speaking for the cities which are burdened under pollution. Today I'll be speaking for the cities which crave for attention. Today I'll be speaking for those urban areas which have been long ignored by the government of India. Our brains have been hardwired into thinking that developing rural areas will ultimately develop the nation. I don't know where this wrong notion started, but I know is if we look at the crux of the matter from a different angle, it would certainly make you think that urban development should be given the priority. There's a reason why the parliament is not situated in Singapore instead of New Delhi. There's a reason why Mumbai is called the financial capital of India. And there's a reason why students and people from abroad flock into Bangalore. And of course, there's a reason why no one sitting here knows about Singapore, Khedi and Manwa, by the way, which are the villages of our India. It ultimately underlines the prominence of the urban areas in our nation. Also, they are a lifeline, a driving force of the nation. I would like to tell you that 84% of our population, 84% of the urban population is literate. Literacy, which is a major factor in development, will ultimately help us only. One of my friends in the opposition said that rural India does not receive its proper share of economy or some kind of funds which have to be used for rural development. That is why rural India has not developed. I ask my opposition, has rural India not received its share from past 60 years? The initial 5-year plan which was implemented was only for the rural India. The schemes like Gold Revolution, White Revolution, Green Revolution, God knows what, and PDS and MSP and Jawahar Rozgar Yojana all have been focused for the development of rural India. From the past 60 years, the government of India has focused into developing the rural India, and we have stunted the growth of urban population. So why not develop the urban areas? And why not focus our concentration to the urban areas? Why not make that man live in better conditions and give him a proper job? The development of a nation, as many would perceive, has different ideologies. Farmers need 2 squares of meals. So what about that man who lives in a slum? What about that man who does not get a meal itself? And many of my opponents also saying that people die in rural areas of many other things, so people die in urban areas too. People die because of various diseases. People die in slums, and many of these deaths go unnoticed. I would like to tell you that urban areas also expand very rapidly. For example, some of the old boys would remember, 30 years before this very school, I repeat, this very school wore a deserted look. But now it had come into the center of the city. So why not develop the urban areas and get the rural areas under the wing of urban areas, so both the development of both can go hand in hand. I'll conclude my talk by telling you all that Mahatma Gandhi believed in development of rural areas so that India could be developed. But what I think is that Mahatma Gandhi, the great old man, might be sitting in the heavens, smiling at me, telling me that you are saying the right thing, son, that's the right thing.